Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Samantha Leighanne and I talk about books. So today I have my August wrap up. I had planned on doing this vlog style and then I didn't because I'm the worst. Again, I don't have all like my stats and shit because I haven't updated my spreadsheet because again, the worst. I would sing it to you like John Ralphio, but I'm not going to do that. However, I did read 6 books, so that is a vast improvement over the last several months. So I feel like I'm gradually getting my life back together, so that's pretty fucking cool. So let's just, talk about some books real quick. It was actually a pretty good month too because I had 3 4-star books and 3 3-star books, so I didn't have anything below 3. So that's a pretty good win in my book. The first book that I finished was Different Seasons by Mr. King. This is a novella collection, one for each of the different seasons. This houses Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption. It has The Body, Apt Pupil, and The Breathing Method. And I really love 2 out of 4 of these stories. One of them is really weird, and the other one is just okay. So obviously, because this is part of my King Chronicles, just know that I gave it 4 stars. The only reason it gets 4 stars is because I love The Body and Rita Hayworth so much, but I'm not going to go into any detail because this will get its own video. So the next book that I got was actually from my library. I checked this out via audio and it is The Invited by Jennifer McMahon. So I had read The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon last year. It might have been last year, it might have been earlier this year. I do not recall. But regardless, I read it and I really liked it, so I was really excited to read this. However, I don't want to say that I was disappointed by it, but it just wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be. The plot feels very much the same as The Winter People, and the vibe at the very beginning also feels much the same. So the basic premise of the book is you have 2 college professors that are moving to this podunk town. It's not even a podunk town. I'm so bad at synopsis. I'm so sorry. They're moving to this small town. They're building their own house. They're doing a lot of the work themselves. They bought this property super cheap. Spoiler, it was cheap because someone died on it. And it's haunted. It's not really haunted. It is haunted. Maybe. So they moved to this town and they moved to this house and strange things start happening. And then there's a side story with a little girl in the town who has a mother who has disappeared and, ghosts. That was probably the worst synopsis I've ever given in my entire life. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I really liked the atmosphere. However, it was very slow. It took a long time for us to get anywhere in the book. The vibe itself did still feel very much like The Invited. You're doing the flashbacks that give you the backstory, like on the property and like why it's haunted and things like that. So creepy vibes, but at no point was I like really scared or I didn't feel much suspense, mostly because it was so damn slow. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was okay, but I know a lot of people who like DNF'd it because they just couldn't wait for it to like actually go anywhere, which I get it. It's not, it's fine. The next book that I read is Foe by Iain Reid. I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things, also by Iain Reid last year. And when I tell you I fucking loved that book, like it was amazing. This was just okay. It was real fucking weird. Basically, this is about a man and his wife, and all of a sudden they're at their house, and one day this dude shows up and he's like, "Hi, you have been chosen. You're gonna go colonize Mars or something." Okay, they never actually like specify. Somewhere in space, okay? He's going somewhere in space. He's gonna go colonize and like farm. So he's gonna be gone for a really long time. And subsequently, they're like, okay, well, we don't know like how long you're gonna be gone or like when this is gonna happen. But eventually we're gonna send like this AI to you that's going to learn you and like your habits and everything, because we know it's stressful for you to go do this, but think of your wife too, because like your wife's gonna be by herself. So we're gonna give her like this AI so that she won't be so lonely, right? Sounds cool. That's all I can tell you. I can't tell you anything else because shit goes on from there. And obviously this is a very short book. Once again, I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this. It was real weird, as I previously said. a lot of like introspective type thinking, which I enjoyed. I think I'm thinking of ending things was stronger, and I could definitely see where this was going before we got there, which it was the same thing with the first, but I enjoyed the writing so much that I can forgive that. So next I picked up Disappearance at Devil's Rock. This is by Paul Tremblay, and this was the last book that I needed to read by him until his short story collection was published, which it has now been published, so I need to read that. But if I was going to rank these, the three, I would do Head Full of Ghosts, Disappearance at Devil's Rock, and then Cabin at the End of the World. Some people will probably disagree with that. It's fine. So basically, this is a book about the title. There is a child who ends up in the woods with his friends and disappears at this place called Devil's Rock. And the story follows his mother and his sister and kind of what their life looks like after the disappearance and how they kind of go through you know, the motions, what they do in an effort to find him and things like that. And there is a supernatural element that does go through this book. But one of the things that I love so much about Paul Tremblay's writing is the emotion that he puts into it. And there are these creepy factors. There are these, you know, supernatural elements that he weaves through the story. But at its core, it's about so much more than that. And so in this particular case, yes, we are talking about grief and those emotions that come with losing a child, the guilt that we can feel. I say we like I'm a mom and I am not. The guilt that, you know, the mother in this story is dealing with, the guilt that the sister is dealing with, you know, and just that family unit, which is what I loved so much about Head Full of Ghosts. And so he did this very well here as well. I wouldn't even really call this a true horror if I'm being completely honest. Well, I mean, I guess it's probably one of the 8 million subgenres. However, I didn't ever found myself scared. There were just, you know, a couple of like more tense moments, I guess you could say, as the story started to progress. But I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. If Cabin at the End of the World is the only book of his that you have read, I would still recommend picking this up. I would fully recommend picking up Head Full of Ghosts first, but this was still a pretty good one. I think I gave this one 4 stars. So next, I read Desert Places by Blake Crouch. I got into this mood where like I wanted nothing but thrillers for a minute, and that like morphed into true crime, but that's gonna be more along the lines of what's in September. But I read the Pines trilogy. I realize now that I'm talking like every single book that I've talked about, I've told you about other books that I've read by this author, and you guys are probably like, please shut up and just tell us about the book in your hand. But I like you to have backstory. So, Desert Places. I have read a lot of things by Blake Crouch. My favorite still being the Pines trilogy. It's like this sci-fi thriller-ish, and I loved it. Also like Dark Matter, really enjoyed Recursion as well. This follows a like murder mystery writer, like maybe a John Grisham type or something. But he writes suspense thrillers, and he's got himself a nice little lake house and everything's good. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, maybe? Anyway, he gets a phone call and he's like, you have to do this stuff because there's a dead body buried on your property. And if you do anything other than what I fucking tell you, you're going to go away for murder and you're not going to be able to get out of it, even though you write suspense thrillers. And so it kind of ensues from there. Entertainment value, I enjoyed this. It was really fast paced. The writing was fine. I read this very quickly. It is fairly short. This is apparently part of a series, and I do have the second book in the series. I do want to continue it. I gave it 3 stars just because, you know, again, it wasn't the best that I've ever read, but it also certainly wasn't the worst. I did very much enjoy it. There isn't very much, like, if we think about like Dark Matter and Recursion and stuff like that, there's a lot of like science-y elements. That is not present in this book. This is like just straight up, you know, thriller type stuff. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, you know, I would pick this up. If you're wanting to stay in the more like science fiction thriller genre type deal, maybe this one wouldn't be the one for you, but I still enjoyed it. And then the last book that I read, which I do have a physical copy of, but I am sending it off annotated to a friend, Christina from Turning the Pages. She has a blog and I love her. And so we decided that I was going to read my copy of this book and annotate it, and then I was going to send it to her and she's going to annotate it and send it back to me. so she can kind of like see my reactions as I was reading it. So I See You by Clare Macintosh. Another thriller. This is about a woman who, you know, she's on the train, maybe on the train, I don't know. Takes place in London, whatever they call the train in London. Subway, tube, I don't fucking know. But she's on whatever that is and is looking through the newspaper and she sees this classified ad and her picture is in this classified ad and she's like, the fuck is this? Her family convinces her that it's not her. She sees another woman's picture in it and then this woman ends up murdered and it's like, oh shit, what's going on, right? It's kind of a stalker story. It's not kind of a stalker story. It is a stalker story if that is something that you find triggering. I do not recommend it. This also heavy trigger warnings for rape in this. It is not written on the page, but there is a character in this book that was not raped herself, has a family member that was, and it does talk a lot about what that process looked like for a family member after the fact. You know, whether or not to press charges, did they ever find the person, you know, the guilt that the family member feels for quote unquote not being there, those types of things. So again, heavy trigger for that. One of my least favorite like literary devices has probably got to be like where it ends a chapter and it's like, but little did she know that this terrible thing was about to occur. I hate shit like that. It's like, can you just don't do that. And they did do that here. Not as bad as some books that I read, so that wasn't that bad, but she punked me. I ended up giving this one 4 stars because she definitely punked me. I am usually really good about being able to guess, and I thought that I had this shit figured out. I'm like, bitch, yes, I know exactly who this is. And then there was a twist that I didn't see coming, and then there was a second twist. And she left it open where I feel like there could be a sequel, and I almost want there to be. So yeah, gave that one 4 stars. Again, really quick read. If you enjoy domestic thrillers, then I would definitely give that one a shot. So those are the books that I read. I'm so proud of myself for like actually reading 6 books in a month because it's been a minute. I actually went through the other day and lowered my Goodreads goal because my Goodreads goal was like 100 and that shit is not gonna happen because I'm only at like 57 and it's September. I might get to 75. I think that I can get to 75, honestly. If I keep at the pace that I'm going, I can get to 75. But I'm just happy to like actually be reading again, especially with just the way that everything has been happening in my life here lately, and just the stress and anxiety has been real. As I'm like not looking at the camera and fucking with my nails, the stress and anxiety, like full transparency, has been very real. I have some amazing people in my life that are helping to keep me grounded and to make me breathe when I am feeling too overwhelmed, and trying to make sure that I eat food and just in general take care of myself. So I couldn't do it without you, and I love you. So yeah, that's my life right now. So yes. Okay. But those are the books that I read. Now that we're going back to books, those are the books that I read. And have you read any of them? Comment down below. Let me know if you have. Since I'm putting this up, I am already in the middle of a couple of different projects getting ready for October. I'm so excited about it because, you know, October is spooky season and that's my brand. But that being said, if you're watching this and you are eagerly awaiting the Return of the King Chronicles, they are coming, I promise. I have material for 3 or 4 videos, I am pretty sure. And I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna bulk fill them. Filming those videos, I want you to know, takes like a decent amount of like mental willpower, just because I am talking pretty in depth about these works. And so I prefer to film them like on a day where I can like really focus. Today is not that day. So they're coming back, I assure you. But since we're talking about King Chronicles, we're talking about the spooky season, if there is any particular type of video that you want to see coming towards October, I want to try and go ahead and get those videos filmed ahead of time so that I can make sure that I have content for the month of October ready and scheduled and just good to go. So if there's anything specific that you would like to see from me and my face, make sure you comment down below and let me know. That's all I have for you guys today. As always, if you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you click thumbs up and hit subscribe if you have not already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.